Alright, welcome back everybody. Before we get started, I wanted to thank you all. We are now over 1,000 subscribers on this channel, and that is just awesome. Never thought that 6 months ago when I started doing all these tutorials for you. Wasn't sure that many of you would be interested, and I'm glad there is, and I'm glad you all are learning something. I'm always learning something myself, working on these. Not really working. It's actually fun for me. I like to experiment with ZBrush and definitely like to share it with you. So, without further ado, let's get started on our new set of tutorials here. This is going to be a couple part tutorial that we're going to be doing. We're going to create a Starfighter. It's going to be a similar construction that we did with the cruiser last month. You can definitely, on the build a ship tutorial, you can definitely go check that out. I think this design will be a whole lot better. The one we got up on the screen right now is one of the fighters that I made up. And also I've got this one here. He was one of the first fighters I made. And I'm going to kind of do a blend of both of them. I'm going to have this nice transparent canopy to where you can look inside. And it's definitely a nice look to it. The end result, what I want to get to today, or over the next couple tutorials, is I want to be able to take all this stuff and then be able to make a game-ready model that we will do via Substance Painter after ZBrush, and then we will export it into Sketchfab directly out of Substance Painter. And as you can see right now, this is one of my models here that I textured in Substance Painter. Then I also got another one here. Let's see, here he is. And I'll show you how to get all those panel lines and everything all over into Substance Painter and Sketchfab to make a really detailed game model that you can put in your animations. You can run it through Marmoset, After Effects via the Elements 3D, and it's a pretty cool technique. It ended up being a little bit simpler than I originally made it out to be, but just hold on for the ride, and we will get started over in ZBrush here, and we will just start making a model. I'm not going to bore you with the whole texture displacement thing this time. You can definitely go check out the Greeble pack, or not the Greeble pack, but the Greeble element pack, and generate your Greeble that way. I'll supply you with one here that you can download in the description below. So to get started, let's go ahead and load up a Cylinder 3D, drag him onto the canvas, hit T. Now we're in edit mode. Go ahead and turn your polyfill on, and I'm going to switch materials. Just go to basic. Sometimes it's a little easier to see, except in the shadows. We want to initialize him, and I want to make him on the divide. Take him down to 16, and then take the V divide all the way down to 3, and this is what we're going to start with. And now go ahead and make Polymesh 3D. And here's our starting point here. So let's go ahead and switch into Zmodeler, which would be B, Z, and then M for that's your keyboard shortcut. I've got mine on my UI. Sorry if I tap on my UI and forget to tell you where it is in the menus. Sorry, it's just such a force of habit, and I'm trying to learn not to do that with you. So let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and delete this front here because we're going to work on the canopy and the cockpit real quick. So go ahead and we right click on a poly and to open up the menu, and then go to delete, and the target we want to do flat island and flat island. Okay, and now we can't see on the inside because we don't have our visibility set up correctly. Not visibility, but display. And double. There we go. Now we can see inside it. I just like doing that. It just makes my life a little bit easier. Let's go ahead and just right click on the edge here. We want to bridge, and we're going to bridge two edges. So we'll click on him here. Go ahead and hit X, just so you're working in symmetry here, and it'll let you know what orientation you are. It'll help you out a little bit. Okay, so go ahead and click on this one just below the halfway mark here. So click and click across. Okay, now we bridge those two together, and we'll right click on the edge action again, and we want to go to Insert. We'll switch it to multiple edge loops. Do specified resolution of 2, and then just click on that edge. There we go. Right click on that front poly there. We're going to change it off of delete and to go to the move and have it set up aligned to axis. Oops. I got him. We don't want flat island, we want single poly. There we go. And then just drag him out. Scale him out so I can drag him out a little further here. There we go. Now go ahead and do another multiple edge loops again. It's still set up on 2, so click that. Boom. And we're moving the polys again, kind of straighten them out there. As you see, they're pretty well in line with the fuselage, or whatever we're calling it. So now let's go do an edge action here. We want to find an edge, right click it, and we're going to go ahead and bridge it. Two edges again. And then click on the opposite side. Just keep doing the same thing until you get it all filled in. Okay, so now all the points are nice and welded in there. So go underneath here, and we are going to do a close action, and we're going to do convex hole, leave it on spline, and then come back, polygroup flat. Alright, so let's go ahead and just click it. There we go. Control Z that. Let me see what's going on. I think it's still remembering some of the things I did earlier. So we can just click. And you can do it like that. There you go. Now go ahead and under your geometry, because we need a central line here, so I want to go to geometry, modify topology, and just mirror weld on the X. Boom. Through a line dead center there for us. Now we can go here and close this up here. So we still got close convex hole, but I want to change one of the modifiers. Close, we don't want to do it to center, we want to converge to point. And then make sure your cursor is close to that point there when you do it, and boom. There you go. Let me Control Z. There. Poop. There we go. Just wanted one. I didn't want that extra edge loop going in there. And there we go. Now it's closed up there. So let's do a inset. We're going to do Inset Region. Just keep a single poly. We're just going to create a temporary poly group. So click and hold your Alt. Highlight all these polys here. Now Inset in. And just tap Alt there just to be sure we get a unique poly group there. Just in case there's another one somewhere that might be the same, because that always leads to problems down the road. Okay, real quick, we're going to do the canopy here, and then we'll go back and do the cockpit, and I'll show you here. So let's go ahead and delete, and we'll just do polygroup all. Delete him. Now let's do another convex hole, and converge to center. Give it a couple poly loops there. Tap Alt there, give it a unique ID. Okay. I know it looks a little funny there. That's fine. That's fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and select him, and then Control click on the canvas to mask him. Control click to reveal everything, and then Control and click on the canvas again, reverses the mask. And then I also want to do mask edge loop complete. There we go. So now I can modify just the canopy, and we're just going to use the move. So this way everything kind of stays in place there. And I know the topology is a little wonky there. We'll fix that here shortly. We just want to get our basic shape going. Just use a smooth every once in a while. Unless you really want that real wonky shape, that's fine. So we can use probably deformation, polish by features there. That'll smooth it out a little bit. I think that's good for now. So Control drag outside your canvas, or on the canvas itself, not the model, and that'll clear the mask. Now let's go ahead and select just our canopy and go to Subtool. Let me reverse that selection. There we go. And we're going to do split hidden. Okay. And turn solo off, and you can see the canopy is there, but it's detached, which is what I wanted. Let me turn solo back on. I just want to, now you just want to go ahead and do Control Z, go back through the process, go backwards in time here until we had just that. There we go. So let's go turn solo off. And let's mess with our canopy here. See what happens if we just do a Z remesh and see how that looks. And we'll just keep it the same. Freeze border. Yeah, something wonky going on over here, it seems like. Control Z, Control Z. I think we need to get rid of an edge loop. Might help us out. Just do Insert. Hold Alt. No. That's why I hate these little points right here. They always cause havoc. Let me get a mask on this bad boy before we do any more damage to it. Mask. Okay, now I can move him freely without getting him away from that edge. So move. Remove that mask. We're going to divide him up a little bit. First, go in here into your crease polygroup. and it's just going to throw a crease around the border. We're going to divide him up a couple times. And the reason I don't like having those little points, as you can see right there, it makes some very, it pinches everything, and I want to get rid of that. I want to make it all quad. So I'm going to divide them up one more time and see if ZRemesher can help us out. So we can go into our stroke, curve functions. There we go. So now I drew a curve around the border there. Now let's try our ZRemesh. We're going to take him all the way down to that 0.1 and turn off freeze borders, and let's see what happens. It's not bad. It's not bad. So let's go ahead and let's see what happens when I run it again. I think we'll be okay. So real quick with Zmodeler here, I'm just going to delete like every other edge loop here. Got to make sure I am on insert. Because we don't need that many edge loops. Alright, it's not the prettiest in the world, but once we subdivide, it'll look great. Alright, so let's go back to our fuselage and everything here. I'm going to solo him, and then now we can make our cockpit. So let's go ahead, right click it, I'm going to close him, right click, and we're going to just do a Q mesh, polygroup all, and we just want to push him. Oops, what's going on here? That's interesting. Where did he come from? Okay. Well, let me just delete him. Not sure how that happened, but we'll just delete single poly. Very interesting. Okay. Let me Control Z back here. Not sure where that guy came from. Must have been like an extra poly over everything. Not sure where he came from. Control Z. Alright, let me go back here. Let me try that Q mesh again. Maybe it was just... No? Very weird. Okay. I'll just work around him. That's fine. Trials and tribulations of this. And we'll just switch him back to single poly, see if I could just... Let me just delete him. Delete that one. And then I could just take him and Q-mesh him down. Q-mesh down. Well, I thought I could. How about Q-mesh him in? Nope. Wow. Okay. Guess we're going to have to do this the hard way, guys. Sorry. Let me do some cleanup action. This worked just a little bit ago, and I'm not sure what happened. So, I'm just going to close him up. And and we'll do convert to point, active. Oh my goodness, what is going on? Huh, very weird. Huh, I think I'm just going to move on because I'm not too worried about that inside there. Let's see, let me just move some things real quick. Move flat island, align to axis, Move him down a little bit further. We can move him back in there. Okay. Because all I'm going to do is put a little seed in here real quick. So let's go ahead and QMesh, single poly. We're going to just select 1, 2, drag them up just a little bit, Alt to change the poly group, and then hold down Control. There you go. And we've detached that little bit there. So let's do create a temporary poly loop. Oh, there we go. Knew that was going to happen. Alright. So let's go ahead and try this again. Alright, let's try like this. Alright, now we're in business, I think. Oh. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and Flat Island, moving him again. Just move him up a bit. Control Shift A, and we'll move him back in a bit. Okay, now he's inside there, that's good. Now let's start adding some edge loops there. It's funny, every time I do this on my own, no problems. I do this for you, I got problems. But I guess that's a good thing. This way you guys will see the errors that you can end up getting sometimes. And all we're trying to do right now is just make like a little seat, a little console. I'm just adding some edge loops to play with here. Reason I did that separate one there, so this way I can manipulate just this and not have it throw edge loops all over the place. Alright, so now we can switch back over to QMesh, and we'll just do it in single polys here. Or try anyways. Oops. I'm going to raise the back up here. Careful not to go all the way up. I don't really want it connecting. Oh, bugger. There we go. Okay. Goes. And all we're doing, let me Control Z that. It's alright, I guess. Make a little console here. I know, it's not, size-wise, it's not perfect, I know, guys. It's not in proportion. That's alright. It's all science fiction, right? It's all make-believe. Just careful with the QMesh when you're using it, because it'll want to try to snap to something near it. So we don't want it to snap all the time, especially on this outer hole here. And I'll insert another loop. Get a little display going here. And boop, there we go. There's our little cockpit. Nothing too fancy. And continuing on here, the only thing I may do is, let me, just want to highlight this guy real quick. Let me mask him. I don't think I noticed is like right here, right around here, that they're almost protruding, and I don't want that to happen. So let's see if I can take him back. There we go. That'll fix that. Just unmask. The only reason I masked it is I just don't want it to influence the other one. Alright, so there we go. Now we got a cockpit, and then we got a canopy. Now let's work on the back end. Right click, and we're going to go ahead and do a move, flat island, align to axis. We're going to pull him out just a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and delete this bad boy. Delete, and flat island again. Okay. And now we will right click on the edge. We're going to do a close, convex hole, coverage to center. Just keep polygroup flat. Click and hold. Let me hit Alt so we get a different polygroup here. And if you drag up, you get some more resolution. If you drag to the right, it'll bubble it out. Give it a dome. There we go. Just be careful how many of these little conversion points that you actually make, because that can... Because that little point there, whenever we subdivide, will kind of make a weird little pattern there. So what I may do is do B, C. We're going to get a clip and curve. And I am just going to clip that guy right into the next one. There we go. Now when it's nice and flat like that, it shouldn't create those little triangles whenever it subdivides. But we're going to hide that sucker anyways. You're not going to see him too much here, because we are going to go ahead and... Oh, I got this guy sideways. Frame. There we go. Alright, so let's go ahead. We want to go back to Insert, Single Edge Loop. Want to have all the control with this. We're going to do one here and one here. Alright. So let's go ahead and do a Q mesh and change it to Polyloop. And we'll do some of the innermost rings here. And then make sure that little orange arrow is pointing. Oops. There we go. Click and hold. We just want to drag them out just a hair. Hit Alt so we get a different polygroup. There we go. And go ahead and do a move command and flat island align to axis. That's what we want. Oh, not flat island. We want polygroup all. Bring him out. Okay, we still got our clip curve going. We can clip him, make him nice and flat. Now let's go ahead and do that with this ring. Make sure you put a little gap between it here. And we want to do another Q mesh. Polyloop, it's already set up. Click and hold. Give it another unique poly ID there. Alright. And let's see, go ahead and do a move. Same routine. Move him out. And go ahead and Control Shift, click. Make sure you get those two polygroups there. And now we'll do a clip curve on him. There we go. Now you can do Control click back on the canvas and it brings everybody back. So we're going to go ahead with this one here. I want to do Transpose, I believe. Yeah, Transpose. Polygroup all is fine. And just click on him. It'll mask everything for us. And we can take that little point right there in the center. There we go. And drag that handle out. get a better angle here. Change it to scale and scale him down. Okay. Control and drag on the canvas. We'll clear that. Now we do the same operation with him. And go find that center point. So this way we're staying dead center to the model. And oops, set up our move. And we want to go to scale. And now the same thing. And there you go. We got our exhaust port. Alright, so let's go ahead and get out of that. Drag. Alright, continuing on here. I think we're good for now. We're going to go ahead and get this guy some wings so he can fly. Fly like a bird. Alright, so we're set up on insert edge loop. So let's go ahead and like drag one around here. Drag one there. Okay, nothing too fancy. There's no particular science to this. It's just whatever looks good, guys. And we're going to do a Q mesh. We're going to do single poly again. We're going to draw out, even up top there, I want to leave all but one down there. And we're going to click and drag out. Hit that Alt. Get a unique color there. Hold down Control, and then you can drag them out further. Alright, so now we got his little pylons going on there. Okay, great. So first of all, let's go ahead and insert another edge loop here. And we'll go ahead and delete. Just a single poly. Delete those two. There we go. Now they're two separate wings. Alright, let's go ahead and do a edge action, and we want to do transpose, edge loop complete. Okay, so now we can move him, and we'll just shift him that way, and hold down your shift. That'll constrain it to the axis. I know it looks a little weird at the moment, that's fine. And we'll do the same up front. Just get it right around there is fine. We don't want it to block the view of the pilot. He needs to look left and right. Alright, so let's go ahead back to draw. Clear your mask. Now let's go ahead and switch it back to insert, single edge. We're just going to draw some lines here and there. I'm just going to, wherever you want, really. Whatever kind of design you're thinking about. And I'll show you a cool little trick here. And I may draw one right there. Alright, so let's go ahead and delete a couple polys here. Okay, and delete, delete. Alright, yes, I know, starting to look like a TIE fighter. That was the inspiration. Now go to a point, and we want to set up a new point command here, and we want to set it to slide. This is a pretty cool little trick that I learned. You can sit there and select that point and slide it along that edge loop, and it won't go any other direction but right there. And it's all based on the brush diameter, so if you don't want the other one moving, but I do. So we'll just slide these over here, give them, make them a little more dynamic. Get these back ones here, and maybe leave them more like that. Looks cool. See, I may go ahead and adjust just their scale, overall scale here. And I may just do a move. There we go. Oh. Move. Stretch them out a little bit. May scale them down just a hair. I think that'll work. I'm cool with that. Alright, so let's get back and take the mask off. And I may slide that point there. Actually, we may delete that poly. Yeah, that looks cool. I like that. And we'll delete him too. Whatever floats your boat, people. Whatever looks cool to you, go with it. And we're going to Q-mesh. We're going to go ahead, polygroup all. And we have wings. Alright. So now we need to insert our wings into the fuselage. So let's go ahead and do inset, single poly, and each. Okay, click Alt there. So I don't want it coming all the way to the edge. And then all we gotta do is now delete the two areas that we want. So that'll work. That'll work. Now right click on the edge. We want to bridge two holes. And we'll just do spline, polygroup flat. We'll try the optimal curvature and see what happens. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't work. So we're going to give it a whirl. Zoom in a bit so I can see what I'm doing. Make sure I get an edge correctly. Ugh, poop. Let's try interactive. There we go. Ooh, you almost had it. Bridge is very finicky, I have found. There we go. I'm happy with that. Don't need a ton of topology for it. So let's go ahead and create some guns. Go back to Q-mesh, and we just do single poly. We're going to bring him out here, and then right click on edge. We'll do multiple edge loops, and all we want to do is just one. Make sure it puts a dead center every time I do it. There, and there. And go to your point and do split. We're going to split him up. Let's get a different color going here. Wish they had a few more colors to choose from. Alright, so let's go ahead and we'll do polygroup all on Q-mesh. And we'll pull him out a little bit. Make sure you hit Alt, Alt, Alt. There we go. Now we got a unique polygroup going on there. Split your point again. Hit that Alt. And if it did not go out as far as you wanted it to, if you stay on Q-mesh again, and then you just hit your shift, it turns it into a move. So if you had to readjust. Alright, so we got that going. Do we want another gun? Oh, why not? So let's change it back to a single poly and Q mesh, and we'll hit Alt there just to. Okay, let's do our sort of edge loops. Okay. And let's go ahead and scale him so I can see what I'm doing. Alt. Okay. Oops. Want to polygroup all. Hold down that shift and I can make them come out further. And go back in, redo that bad boy again. Another split. Change the polygroup. Okay. We have got almost the makings of a fighter. Awesome. That's what we wanted. Let's go ahead and we'll Q mesh some of these guys here. Change it back to single poly so they kind of blend in. Okay. And see how what this guy does. Alright. Pretty cool. I like that. Let's go back here. That's pretty cool. Let's see if I can. Sometimes it works fantastically, sometimes not so much. That's alright though. And let's see if I can. Oh yeah, I like that. Control C. Sorry guys, don't mind my little moments of silence here. I'm just trying to think, oh, what can I do to make this look even cooler? That's all I'm doing. Because the cool part's fixing to come here very quickly, because we're getting close to the end of our basic modeling. I think, yeah, I just want to do a couple things in here just to make this look, add some details in here. Alright, I like that. Let's see. Oops. Sometimes when you do Q mesh, it has a tendency of jumping. Very cool. Because we don't want just a rounded surface on the bottom and flat planes and all that. We don't want that. You want to have some little variety in there. And right now, total poly-wise, we're only at like 1,000 points. We're doing great. We'll probably, when we send it out to over to Substance Painter, we'll probably do I would say probably we'll probably double that. We'll divide it once or twice, and I'll see how much the polys are. But for now, that's the next tutorial, so I'm not worried about that one at the moment. So let's go ahead. What we want to start doing now, we want to see how it looks under Subdivision. Okay, right? It's gonna, okay, so mesh contains 16 out of bounds, so UV coordinates, okay. Yeah, dynamic subdivision is very sensitive. So all you gotta do is just hit fix mesh, and now you can activate dynamic. Boom. Alright. It looks a little soft around the edges. And some parts that's great, some parts not so great. So I'm going to bring up the subdivisions there. We don't necessarily want it super smooth in all spots. Where if you did a Q mesh, it came out perfectly. Because it automatically puts, or the split points automatically put a crease in there. So let's go ahead and I'll turn the polyframe back on. And we're going to set up poly on crease. We'll do single poly and all sides, all faces, that's fine. Now let's see if we can get a hold of an edge here. They're a little hard when you're using dynamic subdivision. We want to change that to a crease and just a single edge, and find a point and do nothing. So you don't accidentally split points while you're doing this, while you're messing with all this here. So let's say like our outside here, we want him to be rigid looking. All we gotta do is just go find all the polys, click on them, and that will smooth them out, or actually it'll crisp them, make a nice little crease to that edge. And if you wanted, if you hold down Alt on it, it'll uncrease it. Oops. Alright, it does a temporary poly group. Okay, so let's see. We'll just go around here. Let me turn polyframe off a little bit so I can see how it's looking. So it's all up to you guys what you want. I mean, if you want a nice super smooth model, great. Don't bother with this creasing stuff here. Because really, I mean, once we put all the panels in here and stuff like that, you're not going to notice the creases too much anyways. So, I know last time I did this, I spent like half hour just going through here and creasing stuff. So I'm not going to bore you with that. Oh, that's pretty cool. Always add some rockets to that. Oh, I know what we need to fix. We need to come back here, fix these bad boys. Let me turn dynamic off. Change it on the poly function. Change it to a poly loop and change it to polygroup border, because we want to fix this one, and that one. So now turn dynamic back on. There we go. Now that makes it look nice and pretty. And just change your poly actions back to all faces and single. And we will continue. And Control Z is always your friend, remember that. And we can always do, because we got the edge going here, we could do Alt, boom, boom, boom. Alright, let me go up here. Need to take a look at the polys. I need that poly loop going around the cockpit to be nice and tight. So let's go ahead and change that back to poly loop and polygroup border. There we go. Now it's nice and tight. Need that edge right there, super tight. There we go. Yeah. Like I said, very difficult to find these polygons and edges. Shift A. Dang nabbit. Increase. Alright, now I should be able to. fix it that well. Let me just do it on the whole poly here. Alright, that took care of that. That's not so bad anymore. Looks like I've got some weird topology going on in here. I don't know what that's about. Okay, I'm not going to stress it. Let's turn polyfill off. See how this looks. Let me just fix that front there, and then we will move on. Change it back to single, all faces, boom, and then Alt, 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 Alt. It's all right. Alright, I'm going to say that's good. Like I said, I can spend forever trying to do this. So let's go back to, let's go subtool, and let's pick our canopy, and turn solo off. Go ahead in your geometry real quick, just, yeah, we don't have any crease on there. Crease, and crease PG for polygroup. Let's take a look at him, and let's go ahead and turn dynamic on. Alright, so let's go ahead and just do some simple moves. So this way, whenever it subdivides, it's protruding in all the right places. Bring him out, get him past all that junk. Just do a little smooth. Moving back into place. Alright, cool. There we go. And we turn that off. We can go back up to the other one just by hitting up. That'll switch your subtool. And let's go ahead, we can actually do transparency. And you can actually get a quick idea what it's going to look like. So, alright, real quick, go ahead and save your model. Okay, better safe than never. Alright, I'll just call him Fighter. Save often. I know this is the first time I've saved, so sorry guys, I should have been better. Okay, real quick, I'm going to go in there and fix that cockpit real quick. Ooh. Still got our Zmodeler here, crease poly. Just add in some crease in there to make it a little more rigid. Alright, zoom out there. And I mean, we're not going to see the cockpit super easily. You know, you'll have to get up real close to it before you can actually see it whenever you do your renders, and we send this over to Sketchfab and all that, so I'm not super duper worried about it. Let me save him one more time. Oh, and if you take a look at your model, let me see if it'll pop up here. Nope. Details. Right now it's like 85K. We're not even a megabyte on that sucker. So that's the nice thing about dynamic subdivision. So I don't think I saved it. There we go. Alright, better safe than sorry. Alright, so now for the fun part where we're going to get all those panel lines going. So let's go ahead and open up your UV map. We're going to change it to 4096, take them down to 1, and GUV is the tile we're looking for. And go ahead under Geometry and do Modify, Mirror and Weld. Now we got our UVs all set up. So go ahead and open up your surface. Click on Noise. We're going to roll him around here so where I can see him. And let's switch it to UV. And go ahead and click Alpha. And load up this Greeble Surface TIFF. I told you that I made for you guys. And you can make your own using the Greeble elements. You've seen it in a couple of my other videos. I didn't want to bore you this time, and we're already at an hour just on this model, so 5-10 minutes I could save, the better. So let's go ahead and change the mixed basic noise to 0. Do your flip H, your offset to -0.01. There we go. Now we're getting our panel lines. And reverse him, bring him all the way up to 0.5, which is the max. And if we try to displace this now, it looks cool, but it would displace like, halfway, it would be a hot mess. So we're not going to displace it at that level right now. So what I want to do, I want to get more detail. So you want to lower the alpha scale, lower him down till you see some patterns you like. Usually I start with a lot of detail first, and then I build up on top of it. So you can take a quick look around, see what he looks like. Like I said, he got a lot of neat detail in there. And change your color blend, change him all the way up to 1, and we're going to lower him all the way to black. Alright, click on OK. Let's see, let me make sure. Change, turn him on. There we go. Make sure that little brush is turned on there. That's your polypaint information. Because if you try to render this now, it would not render out the grayscale and all that it's doing. If you do a quick BPR, see what it looks like. Looking pretty good already. So all you got to do now is duplicate and go under deformation, and we want to do a -5 on inflate. Let me turn transparency off because we're working on new layers now. Let's go back to surface, and I'm gonna move him out, scale him a little bit so I kind of see where we need more panels. So if you now click on edit, still set up with the same ones, so obviously back here we'll need some paneling. So we'll drag your scale back up, and if it's doing too much too fast for you, if you haven't ever noticed, if you go above your little orange tick there and just click and drag it, it's got a fine-tune detail right there. So let's see. try to get those long strips right there. Those would be nice. Now click OK. There we go. That'll fill that in nicely. Let's do a quick BPR and see how she's looking. So basically, most of the work today was just Z-modeling. Adding all this hyper detail takes no time. That's the cool thing about this technique. Get a decent low poly mesh and work your way up. Looking good. Let's go back and take a look at our exhaust port. Want to see how that's turning out. And BPR real quick. I like to do this. I like to go around my model so I can see like areas like right here. I'm missing a panel, so it needs a panel or something there to fill in the void. You know, you've got open parts right here. Let me take him off of that. There we go. But that's all right. That adds so much to your model real quick. And of course, these little where it comes to a point, creates some interesting patterns too. So let me zoom out here, get him back to where I need him. And we'll do, looks like I need another panel right there, right down there. Alright, so same thing, duplicate, deformation, and -5 on the inflate. And it just sucks it in just a little bit. You don't want it to go in too far or it starts overlapping each other, which, you know, your geometry will start overlapping each other, and that's what you don't want. And let's go back to surface, edit it. So yeah, it's pretty much that center console again. So I'm going to get my fine-tune control there. Click OK. And we're just about got him all patched up. And I'll show you how to solidify him here in a second. Do another BPR. Because the preview doesn't necessarily do it justice, because it's flat right now. But when it does a BPR, it will project it out, and it'll throw the displacement out. Cool, cool, cool. Alright. So we're going to go ahead and do one more here, just to cap this sucker off. Subtool, and duplicate. Okay. And deformation, same routine. -5. Okay, done deal. And surface, edit. And we're going to drag him back down. Doesn't really matter. Get something that looks cool. And then go to your offset and put him back to 0. Alright, so need some more detail. Alright, click OK. There we go. Now we solidified the mesh. Do another quick BPR. Let's see, what I may do with that last one, I may change his color and just do a fill object, which is under your color. Just fill. And may do that again. Just oh, we don't want purple. No. Get him dark and color fill. Go. Alright, and let me zoom out here. Get a nice little pose here. And you can go into your surface options there and change the colors as you're going, each level, like grays and blacks and stuff like that. And as you can see, we've got a very highly detailed model that really only, after the main Z modeling, took us no time to detail up. So we got a ton of detail in no time at all. And basically you can send this out to Keyshot or do a nice render inside Zbrush. Pretty cool technique. In the next video I will show you how to take this high-res version here and get it into a low-res game ready model that you can show off in Sketchfab and impress all your friends. Make them think that you took forever to make it. But that's it for this video. I hope to see you in the next one, where we're going to continue on in ZBrush and get it ready to send out to Substance Painter. We will see you then.